All right, everyone. Welcome to the Bro Code. We are so blessed to have our brother Chris Smith on from corporate tonight to answer any questions and to really pour life into us from corporate. Yeah, if y'all know anything about this company and the heart and the mission of this company, they love us really, 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 really well. So before we do anything as usual, we'll keep the main thing the main thing. I'm gonna pray, and then Chris is gonna jump in and talk to us about obedience tonight. All right. So doing the things. Let's pray and then we'll jump right in. So Father God, we thank you for today. We thank you for this opportunity, Lord, all over the country, to join together, Lord, and with the same mission to help people find hope, health, and happiness through this opportunity. Father, we just ask right now that you will bless our time together. Bless Chris as he speaks tonight, Lord. We just thank you again for this time. It's in your name we pray. Amen. All right, Chris, take it away.
Thank you so much, Luther. What a great way to start the meeting. And thanks, guys, for being here. Gentlemen, it is really a sincere honor and a privilege for me to be in the position that I'm in here at Plexus to be able to work with anybody in the field. Clearly, it's always a special time when we get together as men and not only fellowship, but just talk about some of the things that we're facing that might be similar. So, my role, as you might either already know or maybe Luther has told you about, is as a field development specialist. And ultimately, what that means is that we've got all different ranks from ambassador all the way up to diamond. We know that the emeralds, sapphires, and diamonds are considered the jewels, and the jewels get specific help from field development managers. And now we just opened this up, and that's always how it's been with Plexus, is we've given them sort of white glove treatment and help and support and guidance and being able to get into their back office and things like that. We've now just opened up another level of support, and that's for the golds through senior rubies. So gold, senior gold, ruby, and senior ruby. And that's where I and this role come in as the field development specialist. So it's similar type of help. But we're also finding that some of the things that the jewels face are some of the things that other ranks are facing, but then there are also some differences. You've got larger gaps in just points, 1,500 points for an emerald, whereas a senior gold, for example, is 250. To get to ruby would be 500. So there's different strategies, but Luther hit the nail right on the head by talking about obedience. Really, when it comes down to it, I almost feel like I'm going to tell you things that you've heard before from Luther, maybe even from each other or other leaders on stage. It really does have to do with consistency slash, I would even call that obedience. Whether it's being obedient to what your team needs, what goals you're trying to achieve. But I was talking with Luther. We don't get to talk that much just based on our schedules, but the times that he and I have spoken just recently, one of the things that came out of it was this phrase that I just kind of threw out, which was liberation from the outcome. I've never coined a phrase before, so I felt good when Luther was like, yeah, we need to put that on a t-shirt. And that's a poor impression of Luther, but you get the idea. Ultimately,
100% though. We need to put it on a t-shirt.
honestly, really what I was trying to say was I was drawing the difference between high earning jewels, like say a diamond, and sometimes what other non-jewel ranks are facing. If you have somebody who is a diamond, let's just talk about our highest earner in the company, Celeste Gwen. I'm sure you have an idea of the type of money she earns. We're talking about 6 figures a month. I'm not telling tales out of school. Legend has it she owns a giraffe, and I'm not kidding about that. If you run into her at convention, ask her, and she'd be happy to probably confirm that. I think somebody also said she had like llamas. I'm like, llamas, I can like open a box of cereal and follow a llama. You got a giraffe, that's a whole different level. That's sure, like that's Michael Jackson land. My point is you've got Celeste, who is probably out there still talking to ambassadors, excuse me, so enrolling people like you do. She might run across somebody and a conversation might flow in an organic way where she decides to give that person the conversation about the opportunity, what it would take and what it would mean to their family and their lives to actually consider working with Plexus. But my guess is that when somebody responds to her like, I don't know. Or maybe if somebody responds that way, my guess is that she's probably like, it's cool with me. I don't need to help you. I mean, probably not that sassy, and probably she does want to help them. But that's what I was describing as this liberation from the outcome. She's not dependent on, like in her mind, oh my gosh, they have to say yes. I need them to because that's going to add to my income this month and it's going to allow me to enroll one more person and I'll be able to hit this promotion. But those are some of the thoughts and conversations that other ranks are having, and you all might be in that category too. And if you are, just go ahead and drop a one in the chat. Like, hey, I feel like every conversation I have to have, it has to count. Gentlemen, the one thing that is the same, whether you're male or female, is that you're looking for people who are looking for you. And the one advantage that we have is that there are men out there and women who are only going to listen to our voice. Aaron, somehow the things that you say are only going to be able to appeal and inspire the people that are in your orbit that maybe I couldn't, or say Tyler couldn't. So using that advantage, using your voice, if you're looking for people that are looking for you, it really is the same. You're asking them questions. You're staying obedient to being consistent, talking to as many people as possible. And obviously that is more statistic. Somebody was just telling me today, I post all the time. I'm posting, I'm responding to people, I'm posting constantly. And some woman who I didn't even know reached out to me and said, I've been watching you and I saw you talking about this pink drink or something. Tell me more about that. It's like when you send out resumes, you send out 100 resumes to 100 different companies, and a company reaches out to you that you didn't send a resume to and you've never even heard of. Like, how did that happen? Because the argument could be made that statistically you were putting out and you got something back. So sticking with that obedience to what is my daily routine of reaching out to people. I'm hoping, and I saw some ones in the chat. Thank you for putting those in. I'm hoping that this resonates with you all, especially when we're talking about, and we hear this all the time because we've got groups like Men of Plexus, and you all here saying, I'm a guy and we've got a pink drink. And sometimes it doesn't match. Sometimes I need to find a product that looks, smells, and tastes like motor oil for me to be able to present it to a guy. I get it. But the one thing that we should remember is we all have guts. We all need to take care of our gut. So we might need to overcome the thought process. I don't want to say stigma, but the thought process like, oh, it's so feminine. It's a girl product. And, there's so many women in this business. I would take advantage of that. That puts you in this niche category of being able to, as I said, talk to people, reach out to people in a different way, use your unique voice. And I know it's starting to sound sort of Tony Robbins-esque, but really it is. You all have a specific role, and staying true to not only what you're trying to do and your organization, but finding the people who are looking for you and just becoming liberated from what that outcome is. I'm probably going to use way too many analogies on this call, so forgive me. It's like you're driving down the road and you see somebody disabled, their car is disabled on the side of the road. And so you pull up and you go, I have jumper cables. Do you need help? And they go, no, no, I'm totally good. You're like, cool. I mean, hey, I'm going to keep driving. I'm offering you a solution. You don't want the solution, and that's fine. But I tell you what I'll do. I'm going to drive this way. I'm going to the store, and I'll come back the same way. And if you're still on the side of the road, I'll check on you. That's the same kind of approach that we have to have with people who are looking to help. This might not be for you, a phrase hopefully you're familiar with and you use frequently when you're leaning in with the business ask. I wanted to present this to you, person, and this isn't for everybody. It might not be for you. But what kind of income would it take for you to be making monthly where you would consider working this just as a part-time job? Because you could drive an Uber, you could do these things, but talk to me about what those thoughts are. What is the income? What is the opportunity? What does this mean for you? Those are those questions you could ask. And at some point, somebody's going to say something like, yeah, it's not for me. That's when you take your jumper cables, you get back in your car, you're like, all right, wait for AAA. And seriously, no harm, no foul. But remember, that's why I use the I'm driving this way and I'm coming back, because sometimes you'll run back into them. You're like, hey, how things going? Is your car good? And the offer still stands. You know what? I mean, I can sell you a battery. You know, what do you need? I am the solution person. And that's hopefully how you already see yourselves. And if you don't, then hopefully this call is kind of a reminder. And by the way, if nobody's told you yet, and I'm sure if you're on Luther's team, he has, you're all leaders. And if you didn't know that, if you forgot that, it's official. I've told you. Welcome to the Leader Club. So, as a leader, as an obedient leader, if you're in a relationship, if you're married, if you've got a family, chances are you are that leader. And it is important that you keep that focus, because leaders provide perspective. When everybody's like, oh my gosh, the house is on fire, you're that person who goes, it's okay. I know how to get out. Stick with me, stick close. First thing, stay close to the ground. We don't want to inhale smoke. And everybody around you is like, thank goodness you're not matching our panicked energy. My business is in trouble. I'm looking for people. It's okay. It happens. Sometimes our business ebbs and flows. But as your leader, let's talk about what you need to do. Stay obedient. Stay the course. It provides perspective. You're giving guidance. It's not just your family. It's not just your friends. It's not just the softball team that you might coach. It's your business and the people within it as well. Now, Luther said something at the beginning of this call that I think is very important, and very rarely do I actually pay attention to, which is, hey, you might have some questions. I always like run off at the face and I say some things that I think might be good. So let's do this. A couple of things. One, put your rank in the chat, just really quick. Just type it out. And while you're doing that, does anybody have any questions or statements? Thanks for that, Tyler. Thanks, Ian. Statements, questions, or sort of even observations like, hey, I don't know if this goes anywhere, but every time I A, this B, or can anybody else tell me why X and then Y and Z? We'll open this up a little bit.
I want y'all to know, when I asked Chris to do this, he was like, what do you want me to talk about? And then, liberation from the outcome came up, right? The stuff that he said tonight about men, you are leaders. Everyone has a gut. Like men specific, like men should be leading in their, like Chris, this is stuff we talk about every week that I did not tell you. I did not prep Chris on that. So I want y'all to hear one thing tonight. If you don't hear anything else, the heart of the Chris's heart, the heart of corporate, and our hearts as this group, right? They're in alignment, y'all. We are on the right track. We have to be obedient to do the things. We just have to be obedient and consistent in doing the things and allow the results to take care of themselves. So anyway, I just wanted to make sure y'all heard that
I
tonight.
so appreciate that input. For those of you who are fathers out there, you do know that sometimes especially if you're a father and you've got a spouse, there's got to be sort of that united front, to say the same things, to kind of present that to your children. And in a lot of cases, your spouse will say something and your child ignores them, and then you say it and your child's like, you got it, dad, and your spouse is like, I've been telling them that, and like, yeah, sometimes it's the second person. So I like the fact that Luther has been telling you these things, because now it's just this third party validation. It is in alignment, and if nothing else, like I said, it hopefully stands as just an affirmation, or maybe just a reassurance. I am doing the right thing. I am doing these things already. I keep saying this, if nothing else. Truly, if nothing else, I hope that as we come together, not only as leaders, as we come together as Plexus representatives and as men, that we're understanding that there are some challenges that we're facing as we're running our business, but a lot of it does have to do with coaching the team. And I even use that specifically from an actual coach with a team on a playing field. Sometimes the people in your organization need small wins and small tasks. So it's the team coming off the field, coming into the huddle, and then they look at you and say, Coach, what do I do next? And sometimes it's just, I just want you to talk to 3 people today. talk to them about the business. And when you're done, call me. Now get on the field. So it is a constant when they get off the field. Now what's the play? And you tell them, okay, all right, here's what you're going to do next. I want you to get one no today and then call me back. Great, going in the field. And you might send your team out on the field and a couple of them start wandering around. You know, the play is done and everybody comes back in the huddle, but you still have two people out there. Some people who've ghosted you, some people who don't call you back. You're like, cool. I mean, it is what it is. And it's cliche alert here, but sometimes people can't get out of their own way. And it's going to be up to you to follow up. Like, hey, Jim, what's going on, man? You know, didn't hear back from you. You kind of, after that play, you just sort of wandered off the field. Like, things aren't good for me right now, or I'm just kind of losing my way. That's when you offer perspective. That's when you offer empathy. I get that. Oh my gosh, I went through that too. What can I do to help? Talk to me about what's going on that I can help you with. It is going to be up to you to have that, again, obedience to yourself as well, to have that next play. What am I going to tell them next? What is the next thing for them to be able to do?
And Chris, just as a point of affirmation, right? You can only do that if you are showing up consistently. Because if they're not seeing you show up, when you're like, hey man, like what can I do next? Like it comes right back to you. Well, I saw you take a 2 week break, so I'm taking a 2 week break.
That's
Right?
right.
It's all about how if you're showing up consistently, you're like, hey, if you want to see success, here are the things I'm doing. If you have to be able to say, here are the things that I'm doing, here are the things that are working for the people who are winning, right?
Right.
And that your actions speak much louder than your words when you coach.
That is so true. And you know, that's a great point about even taking time off. You know, you can take time off, you can take a couple weeks off, but what's better is when you've got your team moving. It's like pushing a car from a dead stop. Excuse me. Once that car starts rolling and you're pushing it, if you let go of the car and it rolls to a stop, that's not momentum. People think, oh, it's rolling. I'm pushing it. It's got momentum. If you stop and it stops, what got it going was just your energy. You're telling your team what to do. You're telling your team what to do. If you stop telling your team what to do and there's no more activity in your business, you don't have momentum. Some people are like, oh my gosh, I had like 4 people do enrollments last month. I got momentum. Like, yeah, you got some energy going. Once it starts rolling and you let go and it's rolling on its own, that's your team working without you. And that's momentum. And that's when you can say, I took that time off because I needed to do X, Y, and Z. When your team has momentum without your activity, you can take that time off too. I'm not telling you that you have to do these things for, I'm speaking as you, the leader. You know, you don't have to do these things to honor me or anything like that. You're doing these things for your business. If you had a brick and mortar restaurant, you would open during certain times, you would have a menu that did things, you would get out in the community. And if you close down that business for the day, for the week, that's going to affect everything. It's going to affect the community. But if you have an understanding of like what that's actually going to mean, you can take that time off. Offering that to your team is less about you cracking the whip and like you're the leader and listen to what I say, and more like, hey, this is a it's kind of like a living, breathing organism. Like I want you to have the confidence that you can step away and that you're talking to people. But I'm going to go back to, and then I'm going to shut up and again let you guys chime in if necessary. Talk about your voice. You know, that's another advantage I believe that we have as men. I hope it's not cliche or even sexist, but we have the ability to speak in a way that does command that kind of authority. I want each and every one of you on this call to succeed. There is nothing that you have that any other leader in this corporation or similar corporations have that you don't. You have that leadership capability. And right now, you might not be reaping the rewards of the seeds you've sown, but you will. That statement I just made, that's a statement of authority. That's things that you have the ability to do too. Even just the technique of saying things like, what I want you to understand, each and every one, just the command in your voice, not necessarily the pointing, but sometimes if you tell people, I want you to understand 3 things, you guys. First, I love when any speaker starts counting. Oh my gosh, it's like call me a kid, but I don't want to have to decipher and understand. You tell me they're the 3 most important things to losing weight. You guys want to get ripped by summer? You guys want to be on the cover of a magazine by the end of summer? I'm going to give you 3 tips that I guarantee you nobody knows. Do you say that to somebody? They're like, hold on a second. I go, all right, go. Like that's easy. 3. And then the great thing after when somebody says that, it's like, all right, number 1. Like, oh my God, he's already on number 1. If you want to succeed in this business as a business leader like I do, I'm going to tell you, start out as an ambassador. And I'm going to tell you the next thing that you should do the following month. And if you stay obedient and you stay consistent, I guarantee you, you have the capability of passing me in my rank. These are the things that we have the command to be able to say to people on our team. If you're not like that, I'm not necessarily telling you to conjure up a different character and like, I'm usually timid and soft-spoken, but now I gotta shake my fist. You can still command authority and understanding. Again, if you have children, maybe you know this already. I need you to do something for your father. Can you do that? Okay. I need you to go in the other room. Listen to me. I need you to look at me. I need you to go in the other room. Like it doesn't have to be yelling. It doesn't have to be, just, I know you can do this. And I know you want to do this because you told me in the conversation you needed income for your family. You needed to feel better. And then just the last thing I'll say, um, we all probably have had experience with a car salesman. And I use that example because the one thing that every single car salesman does is they know how to close the sale. They all know to ask for the sale. Nobody ever goes to a car dealership and the salesman's like, all right, so thanks for driving the car. We'll talk here, maybe you won't. Typically, they're like, all right. But before that end, they've asked you a number of questions. What are you currently driving? What do you hate about your current car? What do you love about your car? What do you want to see on the new car? What are some of the features that are important to you? They ask you all these questions. And then they present you with the car. And then you drive it. And then they point out, this is this. This has this. Here's something you didn't even say you like, but I know you like it because listen to it, watch it, see how it goes. Then you come back to the dealership and it's like, all right, you said you wanted this, it's got it. You said you wanted this, it's got it. You said you didn't want it this, and it doesn't have it. But here's some bonus things. Then they turn that contract around and they ask for the sale. So that's your role. You ask them, what is it that you would even want to consider doing this business for? What is it that we have product-wise that would be good? Oh, great, we've got that. So if I've got the solution, what do you think about considering doing this, or whatever kind of a question that you would pose to ask for the sale? So I'm going to open up. We have 5 minutes left before we land the plane. Statements, questions, observations, points of clarification. Don't feel pressure.
I mean,
Yeah.
I love what we were talking about. Sorry, daughter's finding her voice in the background. That you're talking about planting the seeds and just watching it grow, because I think that's vital, man. Especially when you said, this business ebbs and flows, and there are times where we're seed planting, and there's times where we're reaping the harvest, and that's so important to remember. So I really appreciate that statement.
Oh gosh, thank you for that, Ian. And you're so right. Sometimes we're not around when it starts to grow, and we all want to be able to do that. We always want to feed into somebody with anything. You got to watch this movie. And we don't know if we watched the movie or not. Maybe they didn't. And you're like, oh, I wanted to give you that enjoyment that I had. And it's not any more prevalent than in our business. But sometimes you're planning, and sometimes they come right at you at the point when they're ready to grow, and you sprinkle a little water, and they're like, and I've seen it so many times, guys. I've talked to so many leaders that all they did was they found one leader, that one person, their life intersected with one other person at the time when that person was like, you've got to be kidding me. My wife and I were just talking about this kind of an opportunity. I'm driving an Uber right now, my car, and your airports and drunk kids, and I need just a couple extra $100 a month. Like, oh my gosh. On Team McGrail, on Team Baldwin, that's what we specialize in. This is what we do. I specialize in helping people just get a couple extra $100 a month. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about what your needs are and how I can get you there. This is how I talk about this stuff. You guys have the harder job. And when I'm pointing out here that I'm not in the field, that I have this passion. You are all out there. And I believe the coveted position of looking for these people, finding these people, and being that person. That you are that person who is going to be part of somebody's testimony one day, that they're going to be talking about you on stage saying, and I went into this coffee shop and I ran into Sam, and I tell you, man, he was saying some stuff to me and I was like, "Whoa." But I kept seeing him in this coffee shop, and then one day I just started talking to him. Or, Bryant said something in a way and it just always stuck with me. And we didn't talk for a number of months, but I just kept seeing him posting. And man, just I decided to call him back up. I called him and I said, I've been watching you. But clearly, if you're watering the plant, first the planting and the watering, that watering process is keeping in communication with them, whether it's online, whether it's through just the natural course of your day, and not being weird. I think that should sort of be like a sub motto of Plexus. It just be a cool person, man. Be the house on the block that everybody wants to come over to ask for help or jumper cables or a glass of milk or something. And it's like, man, every time I go over there, they're really cool. That's you. They see you online. Like, man, he posts stuff. It's funny. He says things about his kids that I can relate. I don't know. I kind of feel like he's like a cool guy. I'm going to reach out to him and ask him how he's found that success. Meanwhile, because you've established that, you've commented on their posts, you've commented, you've fed into them, you've made them the star of their lives. Sometimes people go on other people's pages and like, man, I see what you're doing. I went through the same thing. Let me tell you about it. Instead, it's like, I see what you're doing. Tell me more about that. Oh my gosh, you got a tractor? I need a tractor. Talk to me about it. Like, wow, man, I would never do anything like that. You're making them the star. You're pouring into them. And you are going to be that person that they are going to be talking about. So continue, or maybe start to be that person that you want to overhear being talked about and go, oh my gosh, they were talking about me? Like, yeah, my gosh, I don't know if you know it or not, but your words saved me in more ways than one. Could be, on a spiritual level, or could be with Plexus, or both. I want to be respectful of your time. I told you I was going to shut up. I've got a minute here. Appreciate Ian chiming in there. Anybody else have any other statements, observations, things they want to chime in with?
Yeah, I was kind of gonna piggyback off Eden and like planting the seed, right? So I just had a guy before the call me, and he was just talking about. He goes, "Hey, have you heard anything about these like pesticide these parasite cleanses and stuff like that?" And I was like, "Yeah." I'm like, ever since I started this gut health journey, I'm like, we've we've ran into it. I've looked at it. Megan and Justin Goff, they posted some stuff about it, and I've reached out to them. And as it's like we don't offer that, but there is a series of stuff that you can take. And then, like you were saying, just ask the questions like, well, what else is going on? And that led into, his wife has MS, and I was just like, well, we don't offer parasite cleanses, but we have stuff that will help in the process of that. So like you're saying, it's always ask the question, always plant the seed. And he doesn't even know, he didn't even know I did the business. He's like, well, I know you're a healthy guy, so I just figured I'd ask you. So regardless of what you guys think people might think about stuff like that, they always know who knows what. And if they need the help, they will always ask you. So don't feel like you're just because no one's reaching out to you, don't think that they won't, because in the back of their mind, they like, all right, well, if I ever need anything, I can always know who to ask.
Especially dudes. Especially dudes. I cannot tell you the number of guys who will not engage on social media, but have walked up to me personally. Hey, bro, I seen you posting. I saw your post about acid reflux. I'm struggling real bad. What you got? Can you tell me a little bit more? Right? Like guys are notorious for not like they are like they might like something every now and then. I'm like, okay, I see you. I'm watching, and then they're just watching. I connected with a guy the other day. He didn't know I did the business, but he started telling. I was asking him what was in his drink. He was like, "Oh, beetroot extract. I got this whole list of problems," and I said, "Dude, you know I got a good health business, right?" He's like, "Nah, I didn't know that." He's like, so my son just went through all this stuff. And he has a 2-year-old boy, been going through some crazy stuff, man. And he was like, do you also have stuff that can help him? I'm like, 100%. He signed up on spot. He was like, he's like, as a dad, like we've tried everything. He's like, dude, I'm willing to give it a shot. Sign me up right now. And this is a guy, I mean, like I've been in this, he's been in my circle for months, but like He didn't know I did it. And at the time of his need, he was like, you in here, like, tell me what's going on. And I was like, okay, cool. And was able to help him and his son. So
that is, and again, another great testimony. These things are probably happening all the time, will happen all the time. And, on the heels of that, what Aaron was just saying, a lot of times people will, and I hope you do this. It adds so much validation to you. If somebody talks about a competitor or somebody talks about another product, validate it. Absolutely. That's a great product. I heard a lot of great things. Now, tell me more about that. Oh my gosh. Yeah, those are good. People used to do that to me. I traveled a lot. And back when there was more of a rivalry between the iPhone and like Android phones, seems like every time I pulled out my phone at an airport, somebody would pull out their Android like a stranger and go, these phones are better. And I'd be like, seriously, man, Android puts out an awesome phone. Their operating system is great. And I really think their maps, they're truly outstanding. But for my money, I am always going to own an iPhone because of 3 reasons. And every single time, somebody's like, what are those 3 reasons? So you're talking about some other company out there, and they're like, oh, do you guys have this, parasite kind of detox? Like, no, tell me more about that. I actually heard about that. Man, that sounds great. Like, we don't have that. We have something that I've seen the before and afters and success. So for my money, and these 3 reasons are what would always have me directing people to this solution. I mean, you can certainly try that. I could come up with hundreds of examples. People who are like, I want to buy a Nissan, but Honda's got a car. It's like, yeah, Nissan puts out a great car. But Honda, run forever. I mean, they've got Acura. Yeah, I mean, where do I start? But hey, there are plenty of options out there. But for my money, this is why I stand behind this. But do your research. That's more seed planting and watering. So just using that voice of yours to validate, to understand, to listen, to empathize, but then also use that leadership voice to recommend. Like, hey, not for nothing. I'm with this company. I have these products. So of course I'm going to talk about it. But I'm going to tell you that I'm also here to help you along the way, something you might not get with them. And really be obedient to that particular part of your role as a leader too. Gentlemen, clearly this could be an hour, and I want to respect your time as you've done with me. If we need to get on another one of these for a part 2, please know I will.
Yes, please. I'm gonna do it. Yeah.
Yep.
This was awesome.
Well, thank you.
Get with you, and we'll get part 2 going.
All right, I love that, gentlemen. Looking forward to talking with you. Hey, and I should probably put up I'm on the East Coast. I'm in the field development specialist region of 20 states. I don't want to rattle them off right now, but what would be considered East Coast. Eastern time zone, I think there are a few states in there like Tennessee that might be in Central. Nevertheless, if you are gold through Senior Ruby and we need to have a one-on-one, I don't want to take anything away from the guidance and leadership you're getting from Luther. But if you want, a corporate voice, Chris.Smith, as easy as it sounds to spell, at plexusworldwide.com. We might already even be friends on Facebook. If we're not, I'm sorry. I think I'm actually at my 5,000 limit, so I got to change the thing and I got to have followers. That's great, Luther. So all of that just to say, I'd love to connect with you if it makes sense, if we're in the same region, or we just get on another one of these calls. All these options are available to us. I look forward to watching your progress, and I really hope you're registered for a convention so we can see each other then. I have a lot of women who come up to me and give me some thanks and hugs. I'd love to get it from some of my bros here too. So enjoy the rest of your evening, gents. It was a pleasure being able to talk with you, fellowship with you, pray with you. And I hope we get to talk again really soon.
All right, y'all. With that, we'll see y'all next time on the Bro Code. Have a great night.
Have a good one, guys.
You guys too.
Bye, guys.
Thank you.